Politico says the White House is not sweating this impeachment inquiry, saying it's not even going to warrant wall-to-wall coverage on cable TV like the two Trump impeachments did. I'm wondering where you are on this, and if you think this could backfire on Republicans, by painting Biden as a victim.
All right, there's a couple of issues at play here. One is, did Kevin McCarthy count noses? Because he has 18 Republicans in the House who were elected in congressional districts in which Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump by greater than 60-40. So those 18 are most unlikely to vote to move forward on impeachment. On the other hand, he has some very aggressive committee chairs in Jim Comey and Jim Jordan, and they will succeed and have succeeded thus far in unearthing what appears to be very damning information and behavior. It's circumstantial because it's not direct testimony of what Joe Biden did, but it's very, very damning. And it makes one wonder why the White House isn't defending the vice president's behavior. Bear in mind, this behavior that is now under scrutiny and will be put under a magnifying glass soon is his behavior as vice president. So if they impeach him, it will be for what he did as vice president, meaning if in the long run he's convicted in the Senate, not likely to happen. But if he were, he's not going to be removed from office as president, but he could be barred from seeking a second term.
Okay,
but
so hold on, that's what I wanted to talk about. And you made a lot of news a day ago when you mentioned this. If he's convicted, he could be barred from serving a second term. Take us through that.
Correct. Because impeachment in the Constitution, Rob, is limited to two punishments and only two punishments. One, removal from office if the events for which the person was impeached occurred during their time in office and they're still in office, not the case for Joe Biden. And two, a disability to seek federal office thereafter. So if he were to be convicted in the Senate, there's no office from which to remove him because he's no longer vice president, but it could be barred from running for re-election.
Interesting. And by the way, there are 18 Republicans serving in districts that Joe Biden won, but it's the same on the other side. There are a lot of Democrats in the House. Don't forget, 435 in the House. There are a lot of Democrats in the House that are serving in districts that Donald Trump won in 2020. So I'm not convinced that this couldn't be more bipartisan if it does get there. I'm wondering what you make of GOP leaders in the Senate just rolling over and playing dead basically yesterday. We had Marco Rubio, Cornyn down in Texas all saying, no, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do this. They did it to Trump twice. If you're going to play tit for tat, why not do it?
Well, two reasons. One, Joe Biden is one of them. Joe Biden was in the Senate for 36 years, and he knows almost all of them on a first-name basis and has for many years, too. They don't want to be tied down in a trial that they know is going to end in an acquittal. They just went through it twice. I understand tit for tat. I understand how aggrieved the Republicans were for impeaching Trump. I understand how thin and weak those impeachments now appear from the distance of time. But I don't think the Senate wants to go through this again. Yeah. And that means many Republicans in the Senate don't want to go through this again.
All right, Judge, I'm going to squeeze in a soundbite. We got a minute left. This is Congressman Scott Perry yesterday. Take a look. Oh, it appears we might not have the soundbite. Even better. I'll paraphrase for you. So Scott Perry was on the Hill yesterday, and a reporter asked him to prove that they actually had the goods on Joe Biden. And Scott Perry basically said, look, if you guys would report what we're actually learning about, James Comer and Jim Jordan, the American people would have a better understanding of what's actually going on here. My question, do Republicans have to do a better job of messaging this? What Joe Biden, not Hunter, forget about Hunter, what Joe Biden did wrong to the American people?
Yes, the American public does not understand exactly what Joe Biden did wrong. Did he trade the power of the American government for money for his son, whether or not that money went to him or not? That's the question. Now, they've put him at the scene and they have him engaging in these conversations. But was there a quid pro quo? That's what the Supreme Court says they would have to prove.
I hope they get that message.